In this video, I will provide you with a couple of ideas for building a deck around a chimney, a fireplace chimney, or even a pop-out on a building. So you might have a zigzag in the wall like this. And this video just might provide you with some ideas. So this video was inspired by a question that someone sent me. I will get to that later on in the video. And in our first example, the decking will be running this way. And I'll provide you with a couple of examples when the decking runs the other way. So let's go ahead and get started with this one here. Take the decking off, and you can see here where we have a long beam in the front. It just needs to be straight. Mine is continuous. Yours is probably going to have a break in it, which might require your footing layout to be a little different. Now, I'm not going to go into a lot of detail about building decks. I already have a couple of videos on that. Just mainly going to focus on what you can do around the pop-out. And of course, we're not using any ledgers here. No ledgers against the wall or the pop-out. That would change the way you could build this also. So this is a no ledger chimney pop-out video. So let's go ahead and remove our joist. Take a look at the beams. A couple of beams here with some footings. And of course, the beam location and the footings might be determined by how far you can actually put it up against the building. I mean, you might have a concrete footing that sticks out 6 inches down. You're going to have to move the footings accordingly. So this one idea here, you're going to have a beam that's going to carry past a little bit. Of course, the footing can always be moved over. It doesn't have to be here. You can move the footing over to support this. And here's one board here that's going to be able to get the decking in. Now, you might not need a board like this if your joist layout is nice. You won't have to worry about this one as much. The support beam here in the front is mainly going to be to support the joist that needs some extra support there. So I like to keep the lumber at least an inch away from the fireplace. And of course, you can always block all of this here. And there's our decking. So that's example number 1. In the next example, we will use a couple of beams to support another beam here that will support the joist to get rid of the footing. And I'm just going to kind of go through it here. We got our hangers. And you might actually, if you do something like this, and you were going to use 2x6 joists, you might actually need to use larger joists. So keep that in mind. If you're going to get rid of the footings and do something like this, you might need to step the joist size up and make it a little larger. So again, this here would be a beam coming across here. And of course, I cannot provide you with the sizes of these materials. I'm not an engineer. But I can tell you that an inverted hanger might work better for this. Now, the only reason why I'm using an inverted hanger here is because it might be difficult to nail if you put the beam in before you put if you put this beam in before you put the other beam in. But you could always nail the hanger to the beam and then install the beam, install this beam with the hanger already nailed. I would just be worried about being able to get a hammer in here between the chimney or pop out, if that makes sense. Be difficult to nail over here if you got the chimney in the way. Put our beam back in there. Again, this beam here is going to be supported by another beam. Another view of it there. You can see again the 1-inch clearance. So this is another method here if the decking is going to run this way. Now let's go ahead and change the direction of the joists and of course the beams. And of course the decking here will run in this direction. So we have equally spaced beams, or somewhat equally spaced. And then we have our support beams supporting the joist here. And again, probably don't have to do a lot of narration on this. these videos or the pictures in the videos provide you with all the information you need to get the ideas, I should say. And again, if you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comment area. I will answer them as soon as possible. And again, if you get this video is being made by someone who sent me something yesterday, I believe, and I made the video the next day and something like that. I'm looking for video suggestions. Probably get a good video idea, maybe one out of every 20 comments that I get or questions that people send me, email me. But I will, if I think you have a good idea, I am going to jump on it and make a video sooner than later. Now let's go ahead and shorten the deck. This is the situation that the individual was dealing with. I believe he put his deck design into some type of computer generated software, and it popped something out that provided him with a couple of additional footings that he wasn't interested in. So the footings he had was something like this. So the deck's going around the fireplace. It had another couple of footings here, and he was wondering if he could get rid of these footings. But as you can see right here, this is a nice design the way it is. You've got plenty of support. So this right here is probably something that an engineer would like to see. The support beams here are doing their job. Now this was the individual's idea. They were wondering if they could get rid of the footings, move the support beam back, and then build something like this. And the only problem I have with this right here is that it's going to be a weaker spot here. The exterior fascia board or the rim joist that you're going to be using here is going to have to run all the way across. You're not going to be able to have a smaller piece in here because you're basically going to be using this board right here, the cantilevered section from here over to support this corner. I hope that makes sense. Now, if you're looking for something a little stronger, then you could probably install a larger beam. I've seen this used on cantilever decks before, this type of method. The cantilever joists that run in this direction, which we have quite a few all the way over to here, are going to support the cantilever here. And of course, this beam with the joist hangers and the building hardware is going to create a stronger method of construction. So you can kind of see here we've got the beam fastened to the hangers. So this cantilever here is going to be a little stronger than the other one and provide you with a little more support, as you can see here. So these boards here are going to have a little more support with this type of a system here than it would with just a regular 2x6 rim joist. Now here's something I suggested in my email. Didn't know if the individual understood what I was talking about, but they wanted to have the beam going back here. And I was kind of talking about maybe splitting the difference, putting this in the middle. That way you're going to have a smaller cantilever here. Remember, most cantilevers, even though they say you can use this 1/3 rule, where the cantilever can stick out 1/3 and then go back 2/3, this could still be a weak area here. So I think that you're going to be better off by moving the beam and kind of centering it in this area. And this isn't going to work all the time. If you're only dealing with 3 feet here, something like this might be okay. If it's 5 feet, you're going to have to put the other footing in here or redesign it. This would just be for an area, I would say, less than 3 foot for a corner like this. Now, another idea might be to make the footing a little longer and put some type of a support board under it. Again, just throwing out some more ideas here. This would be a little stronger than not having a support board here. And of course, we went back to the regular 2x rim joist. And in our last example, you could simply make the footing a little longer so that you could move the support beam out. So this would be a longer footing here, support beam underneath the joist here, and then move this out so that you could reduce the length of the cantilever. So remember, these are just suggested ideas. I am not an engineer. I know people get tired of hearing that. so what? I don't know what to say. The last thing I want to do is give someone the impression that this particular situation, every situation that I mentioned in this video, will work all the time under every different type of circumstance, and it won't. So keep that in mind. These are just suggestions.